technologist peppered in campus. We are Z889.
Hey, and welcome back to Z889, the hottest alternative radio station out there, playing all the up-and-coming radio tracks back to back to back. Before the break, we heard Plastic Animal's brand new single, Feel It Still, and now we have John on the radio station with us to talk all about the cohesivity of his music video, his digipack, and yes, you guessed it, his digipack poster. How are you doing, John?
I'm doing great, thank you. Just excited to finally share this new music with my fans, my family, and everyone else who I know will love it.
Good to hear, good to hear. So in terms of your digipack, a lot of listeners have been questioning the design and its link with the video. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Well, the design is pretty complex, I'll admit, but it does link really well with the video when you look closely. I started working with my team to design all elements of my product with the genre of my music in mind. So alternative/indie rock, you know? This meant that I was able to research and identify key codes and conventions of the genre, so that I could create media which was clearly a part of the genre. For example, in my video, I made sure to present myself to the audience, which is something that a lot of indie artists tend to do. I also did this a bit in the digipack and a lot in the poster.
As I understand it, you aren't featured in your digipack and video as much as you are in your poster. Is there any reason for this?
I know that it's important to stick with the typical conventions of genre, but in this instance, I decided to change it slightly to provide my fans with a more unique, never-seen-before sort of experience. Funnily enough, that sort of uniqueness is also typical in the genre, so I didn't have to go that off-brand. So as you know, on the inner sleeves there are images of me, yes, but covering my face is covered by sketches of the two protagonists that star in the video, the lion and the bear. This really was just to form a link between the video and digipack, seeing as those characters were essential parts of the video and provided a deeper meaning to the song featured on the album. The lack of photos of me on the album also links with the video because, as you said, I am not featured in the videos at all. That's because this time I really wanted to focus on the relationship the two characters have rather than the artist singing the song as many mainstream artists seem to do now. The photo of me on my digipack poster may seem slightly off-brand compared to the other media projects, but I really wanted the advertisement to show that the digipack was something that I had produced. The photo that I used of myself was also one of the main images on the digipack, so I think this formed a pretty clear link between the two products.
I heard that a lot of images taken of your digipack were taken on set. Is this true?
Well, yeah. I wanted to use a similar setting for all media products. The prison setting was one of my favorite because I felt like it was really raw and urban, which is something that is definitely associated with my genre of music. I had a few photos taken in the studio as well, as these were the photos that I wanted to be really crisp and clear with the sole focus on me rather than the setting. This was basically just to make the album, feel more intimate, which is a pretty essential when your album covers some sensitive topics, as a lot of alternative songs do. Taking the photos for my digipack on set also enabled me to keep a clear link between all three elements of my new song, video, digipack, and digipack poster.
In terms of the photos used of you, a lot of people are claiming that it doesn't seem to link with the colours you've used in your digipack, which all seem to be bright and cheerful. Is there any reason for this?
As I said earlier on, although it is essential for my digipack to be identified as alternative, I think it is equally as essential that the digipack differs from the genre in some sort of way, that it still has its own unique feature. The color scheme was like a deviation from the typical codes and conventions of an alternative album, presenting themselves as slightly more pop than purely alternative. In terms of the facial expressions in the shots of myself, I think it clearly demonstrates to my fans and listeners how serious and dedicated to my music I am. That is something which I prioritize over looking upbeat like a pop star might.
Your fans might argue that this contradicts the happiness that you as an artist seem to have in the video.
I can see why they might think that by looking closely at the digipack. There are light-hearted elements to it, whilst there are also darker elements in the video as well. For example, the bright color scheme and the quirky editing on my face on the front sleeve of the digipack demonstrates the more upbeat side to myself as an artist, which is clearly expressed in the video. Likewise, in the video, the relationship that the two characters have expresses the slightly less cheerful side to myself, which is obvious in the digipack. I think it was important to explore both sides of this because the alternative genre is rarely about a focus on just one thing, which is what makes it so great. You have the option to explore and have free reign with the music you produce.
I see that the colours you've used in the digipack poster and video are all fairly similar. Was this intentional?
Yes, every tiny element of all the media I produced over the past year was planned meticulously. The black and white images on the digipack and the digipack poster link fairly nicely with the shots used in my video, particularly the prison shots. The prison we filmed in was quite dark, and so the colours seen in the video are very monotone. This black and white theme made it pretty clear that there was a focus on the past, which is then also reinforced in the video using flashback through cost cutting. This was shown in the digipack using a black and white filter and increasing the contrast of the images.
Wow, amazing. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, John. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Don't forget, Feel It Still is out now for download, so make sure you check it out. Now, here's Imagine Dragons with Thunder.
Just a young gun with a quick fuse. I was uptight,